Chris here, and I'm not so happy to be bringing you the 18th episode of the Maritime Medical Marijuana Show. This is a bit of a rant episode, and I'll try not to scream and yell too much, but hold on. Getting sick, so it's another reason it's a good one for this. I get to keep it a bit short. As usual, today's show is brought to you by Karma Compassion Society. At Karma Compassion, we believe people who have conditions that can be treated through the use of cannabis should feel free to do so without discrimination, persecution, or fear of arrest. Now, those three things, this is kind of what this episode's about. Your ability to medicate without fear of discrimination, persecution, or fear of arrest. Those are three very simple things for you to hope for. Right? And because of the Harper government, those are three things that we don't have. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. At Karma Compassion, we take care of patients from Ottawa to Halifax. And by take care of, we help people grow, prepare, consume, and manage their medical marijuana. Now, before I begin, there's a couple of shout-outs I want to shout out about. First of all, and always, is MOM, Maritimers Unite for Medical Marijuana. Great organization that I encourage you to go check out online, mom.ca, and possibly become part of. We have regular meetings, and in a case like this, we come together to support members of our community and members of the medical marijuana community as well. And the community that I'm talking about in particular is, of course, the Halifax Compassion Club that was just recently raided. So a bit of a shout out to them for doing what they do, for being the first that does what they do. And I hope that they pull out of this without any problem, and more people can do what the Halifax Compassion Club has done. And of course, freemark.ca, freemark. Okay, he's still in the United States prison. He doesn't belong there. He's a Canadian citizen, and we sent him there like a bunch of sissies. Okay, I don't even understand. So now on to the show. I haven't even started the rant yet. A bit of the details of the raid, okay? When it first happened, it happened on Wednesday, about a week and a half ago now. And it was posted online that the Halifax Compassion Club was raided yesterday, because it was posted on Thursday, and promised to appear. Notices were given to the staff and Chris Enns. They took a lot of product, cash, and destroyed membership records related to the informant, who is also the lead detective in the case. The warrant was for Chris Enns specifically, but they turned the place upside down and did the same to the house, and any help or advice moving forward in this matter is appreciated. And that's what Chris posted right after it happened. Now, I know that everybody has to have known that this was coming, okay, so I'm sure that they've had legal counsel and in the wings waiting, and are prepared for this, what we can very easily call an eventuality. Now, this made it to CV News, of course, CTV News, and CBC and stuff. And what was posted was that a Nova Scotia man was charged with trafficking and is to challenge the medical marijuana laws. Chris Enns helps to run the Halifax Compassion Club, where people with chronic illnesses can access cannabis and learn about different ways to use it. Published Thursday, March 21st, 2013 by CTV Atlantic. He says he helps provide people with chronic illnesses to access cannabis, and patients say the raid forces them to buy drugs on the streets from dealers. When we get to the Supreme Court of Canada, I will have no doubt in my mind that all the activities done here will be seen as lawful, says Chris Enns, one of 3 people charged with trafficking marijuana in a raid last week. Enns is also a member of the Halifax Compassion Club, whose club members say they suffer from chronic illnesses and use marijuana to ease their symptoms. The club and business that sells equipment to grow marijuana were targeted in the raid. Bob Dillman says marijuana relieves symptoms of his environmental illness, and that without the help of the Halifax Compassion Club and licensed growers, he would be forced to buy drugs from the street dealers. I choose cannabis because it's the only thing that keeps me alive, he says. There's 50 unsolved murders, and they're busting patients here. We need to live. This is our final resort. Cancer survivor Cheryl Graham used a cream infused with cannabis to battle skin cancer. They're keeping this from us. Why? The only reason is because it would put the pharmaceutical businesses out of business. but police say they have evidence illegal activity was taking place on the property. The job of the police is that if there is something against the criminal code or the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act, the public wants us to act and uphold these laws, says Halifax District Corporal Scott McRae. The police had the opportunity to exercise their own judgments, so whether they wanted to come here or not was up to them, says Cherie Reeve, president of the Halifax Compassion Club. Nobody forced them to come here and harass people in a private club. Enns and 2 other people charged in the case are due to appear in court in June. Well, that's all well and good, but on Thursday this week, well, just 2 days ago, Chris and Cherie posted or did a press release at the Compassion Club, and I popped out to record that. A lot of other people showed up in way of support, and there was a lot of people, CTV, CBC, and unfortunately when that stuff hits the news on, what day was it? It was budget day. So when that stuff hits the news on budget day, we only get about 15 seconds. So I'm going to post the whole video here, everything that I've got recorded, and you get to hear some questions and some answers, and you get to hear the whole spiel. So here's the video. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you get behind and support the Halifax Compassion Club as they go through this difficult time. That being said, here's the video.
License, and I'm blessed to say I'm the current president of the Halifax Compassion Club. This is Chris Enns, he's the vice president. So the Halifax Compassion Club and the Grow Up Shop Garden Supply and the private residence of Chris Enns was raided by the Halifax Regional Police Integrated Drug Unit Wednesday, March 13th, 2013 in Porter's Lake, and also East Chesapeake. So the THC Club is a fellowship of licensed experienced caregivers, patients, cultivators, researchers, advocates, and activists. The club membership shares the common goal of facilitating safe access to quality medicine and also discussing other whole plant therapies. And we do that by providing many free and essential services. The THC Club membership is dedicated to exploring healthcare options the standard medical system ignores. So we do this through educational programs such as we have a bi-weekly cancer clinic and a free grant. All of our classes are free, growing class, and we also have a monthly get-together for our members. Also, we do a festival. We plan to do it every year in the fall. So our precepts are focusing on protecting the right to privacy of the patient, equal access to health care, and quality of life. So it's a true nonprofit, and we exist solely for the benefit of our membership and by the generosity of our members, friends, and volunteers. So occurring on the very same day, a warrant to search 5106 Highway 7 was and the East Chesapeake residence was issued by Justice of the Peace Debbie Bowes. The raid was led on the Eastern Shore locations by Jamie Payne. We have a copy of the warrant here. If anybody wants to look at it, take a picture of it, they're welcome to do so. So that afternoon, more than 12 officers arrived in either dark blue or black vans and entered these premises uninvited. The integrated drug unit proceeded to confiscate most of the medicine belonging to several patients, all of the cash from Chris Enns and the 2 businesses, and all of the medicine specifically dedicated for the cancer clinic. 3 persons were arrested. They were charged with violating Section 5.2 of the Controlled Substances Act, trafficking for the purpose. All 3 were released on the spot with paperwork instructing them to appear for fingerprints and then for a plea at a later date. If convicted, those would charge, and if convicted, would have to serve a mandatory minimum of 2 years in jail. Okay, and that would cost the taxpayers over $120,000. So we're very happy to say the Grow Up Shop downstairs is still open and serving their patients and growers. Many people believe that we're closed, and we're not. We just upstairs haven't been answering the phone for the last week because it's been really crazy. So THC Club have decided to stop providing the dispensing services because we're mostly afraid of the danger that it puts the patients in when they leave here. So, you know, quite often, we've had members pulled over, not even though they have their license. You know, nobody really wants their harassment, and so we thought we would just save that. But what this has done is it's just forced patients to go underground, more or less, and find other sources of medicine. So, okay, where am I? Okay. Oh, and so the other reason is because there's a warrant that continues to be on this location right now at this spot. So if the warrant wasn't just for one day, it says on this paperwork here that this warrant allows any peace officer to enter this residence at any time from here until the court decision is made. And that holds true for our house as well. So we're just afraid of any situation of God knows if they're going to come back and harass patients again, right? So people are forewarned. You're welcome to come, bring your license, you know, and be very careful. So retrospectively, as a collective, our final assessment is that our society and its leaders were targets of the most peaceful no-knock raid that has never been reported. Okay, so members believe the lead investigator, Jamie Payne, deceived our volunteers and posed as a patient looking for help. We have a member who specifically remembers serving him. Witnesses state that the original hard copy of Officer Jamie Payne's membership was searched for by the police, discovered in a binder, and torn up by the police during the invasion of the club. We are aware of how innocent people are often harmed in these types of situations. So we're extremely grateful that our dogs weren't shot or nobody was physically harmed during this raid. And I think that the fact that every police officer was so polite, and you know, one officer even opened and closed the door all night for the dog, we think that says a lot about, you know, I don't know of any raid that's ever been like that. I don't know of anybody that's been treated that respectfully. So it might say a lot about how the officers feel individually on the club. So we're perplexed by the HRM's negligence to report this incident to the public. When you visit the HRM Police Department website, it clearly states, Halifax Regional Police report March 13th, 2013, no incidents impacting public safety. So this reminds us of the police persecution of a great freedom fighter, Rick Simpson, and when his house was raided, and then the police refused to comment it or even tell the public about it. So by considering what the police took and what they left behind, which was extremely considerable, and if we were made to guess why this happened without question, we believe the objective was threefold: to hide the evidence of the lead investigator, to prevent the delivery of the free medicine destined for the cancer patients, that they came in specifically and asked for that, and to collect all the cash at the addresses. We have trouble understanding how these attacks are justified, so we cannot surmise the moral intent of these officers. You know, we just hope that they'll consider a more righteous volition than robbing sick people. So as a result of this event, we have two great fears. First is that the patient who could be saved with cannabis consumption may die trying to access it. And if anybody thinks that I'm being inflammatory, just research cannabis cures cancer. Just Google it.
If you don't trust Google, go to a medical journal search engine like PubMed.com and type in the words cannabinoid cancer, cannabis cancer, and look at the medical journals for yourself.
Chris is the person who turned me on to this information, and for the last 5 years we've been doing our best to get free medicine to cancer patients. Many of those people are here right now and can testify how their health has improved recently. And in fact, we had a cancer patient call us yesterday who said that because of our help, his tumors have shrunk to half size. So that was the good news in all of this recently. So the other fear is that our members of our association will now be forced to resort to purchasing cannabis from the streets, from disreputable people, and put themselves in harm's way. If this happens to our members, It will be directly because of this raid and all of those involved in terrorizing this fellowship. Because we know that the police officers have the ability to ignore what's going on if they feel that there's no harm coming to the community. So it happens in many communities all over the world where you can just use the Amsterdam coffee shops where cannabis is still illegal, but they allow people to purchase and sell cannabis in a coffee shop. So, and that has nothing to do with, unless you consider all medical use medicinal, it seems to be a recreational thing. So we're very grateful no one was hurt. The THC Club is the most fortunate recipients of any raid I've ever heard of. This does not mean we're not frightened and continue to be so. With this warrant hanging over our heads especially. We ask ourselves this, if we're acting dangerously, if we're not acting dangerously and criminally, you know, why did this happen? If we are, then why didn't the police go to the media and brag of their conquest and, you know, lay it out like as we have to show people, you know, this is what we have and where we got it. So, you know, we've all seen those videos of the police and their big, you know, booty stash and how they saved the community from the evildoers, right? So I don't, you know, why was this not reported to anybody?
And I think to extend on that, we've had an unlocked door policy since we opened in May of last year. We've had absolutely no blinds in the lounge where medicine was being dispensed. And at the end of the day, we welcome law enforcement, we welcome the community at any point in time where there was any issue whatsoever to come through the doors, to talk to us, to ask questions, to find out that we are not here to be criminals, we are not here to harm the community, we are here to help the community, and we are willing to work with the community.
At no time did any officer or anybody, any member of the community that was opposed to this come here and say to us, please stop. Nobody even came to us who may have, you know, not been in favor of this and asked us not to. So, you know, I think it would have been way better if somebody said, look, you could have, maybe you should stop this before somebody gets hurt. None of this happened. So if you think for a second that they're trying to prevent harm, they haven't done that at all in this situation. And if somebody tries to tell you that something from this place went to the streets, well, I'll tell you what, we don't provide Oxycontins or any dangerous drugs, and those somehow get to the streets. So you have to think about the rationale behind this and why it happened to us. And so, of course, we're going to file to get all of our stuff back. There's another comment that someone told us at the time when they were jointly raiding the two places at the same time, with 3 including downstairs. And one officer was heard saying, well, she's only allowed to have 36 plants, which is not true, they're totally misinformed. Let's see how much they actually have. And the reality is, there was no plants at my house, and they must have been really disappointed. Okay, and as far as the 2 grams of mushrooms that was found on the location, those are my mushrooms. I often talk to people about how magic mushrooms are the most incredible thing for pain. And I encourage everybody who to research that as well. Small doses you can take and never get high. I'm probably the first person that will say that it's a better pain reliever than even cannabis. So that's another thing that people can look into. And so, you know, trying to incriminate Chris and look like he has other drugs, like the article that came out yesterday was terribly misinformed by both the reporter and the Officer McCrae. So we're welcome to take any questions right now.
You referred to an officer, a police officer, posing as a patient. Can you elaborate what was happening?
What happened was when the police officers first came in here, an officer went directly to find the membership files that happened to be on site because we were transferring them all into a computer, okay? So at that time, and they're not on site now, and they're not usually kept on site, it was just so an officer went to these binders, found the membership file called by the name of Jamie Payne, and tore this file up. Now I didn't realize until I looked at this search warrant that that's the name of the lead investigator. Now I checked one of our hard drives that we were copying all this stuff onto. Sorry, not a hard drive, flash drive. And I found the P's and the Jamie Payne was not in it, and whether it had been not copied yet or whether it was deleted, we're unaware of. But what the officers didn't know is that when you take the hard drive off my computer, it becomes encrypted, and then I can still go to our files and see his application.
So what are you alleging? Like, was he operating undercover as a patient? Can you
I'm not alleging anything, I'm just giving you the facts.
But you said he was a patient, he was coming in here. Can you describe what happened?
I don't know who this person was. When this happened, I never tell people where I'm going. For the first time ever, I put on Facebook that I was leaving town and going home for a funeral for my grandmother. And that's why it's relevant that the issue of the warrant is on the exact same day as the raid, right? Because I was gone at this time. So had I been here, who knows how that would have been. If I had been handcuffed, God forbid my dog Tripper would have tried to become aggressive because he doesn't like when people grab me. So I'm really grateful that it went down as well as I don't want to send a message to the police that we're really grateful no one's hurt.
I'm just asking you to elaborate on a statement you made that somebody was posing as a patient.
Well, he may have been a patient. I don't know.
For all we know, he might have a legal exemption himself authorized by Health Canada, but if he's tore up his membership records and removed them from our files.
But we still have the records of him in our system.
So did he have a medical marijuana license? Was that what he claimed?
I can't see the photographs of his application. I can only see the information.
And what did it state?
When his membership began, and a few other details that I'll just leave for now. Yeah. So when we take a membership here, we have them fill out a very detailed application form. Part of it has a statistical part in that they're allowed to skip because it's just for, to get data at the end of the year and see who's what. But we also ask them for a copy of their driver's license, a copy of their license. We ask them to fill out a paper that says that they promise they will never redistribute anything that's ever acquired here in this location.
And if anyone would like a copy of that membership form or waiver privately, don't hesitate to ask. We'd be happy to.
Yep. Yep. We totally have always had a very, try to be as transparent as possible. And so all the members of our club know exactly how much the club pays for anything that they make. I want everybody to notice what's on the table here. These are all the things that you would find at our club on any given day that was being created here. We're not trying to sell the members anything. We're trying to teach them how to make it themselves, right? We're trying to teach them how to properly decarboxylate cannabis so you can make cookies. We want to show you how to make your own lip balms and creams. Many people are putting, poultices and cannabis extracts on their skin cancer, on their lesions. We show people how to mix it with coconut oil. We have lots of nutritional classes here. There's glycerin-based tinctures, body oils, there's everything here. In fact, there's another woman who, there's many ways to make cannabis extracts. We always try to promote the most, somebody shut that off, the most safe ways, and alternative ways that make sure that the patient's always safe. So we have things like vaporizers. There's a volcano vaporizer over there. None of these things were taken by the police. There was several jars of cannabis left behind by the police in the open. There was many things left behind that if you were here to confiscate, our fridge full of edibles was left behind. So, but they made sure that they got every little bit of the container that had all the capsules in it that were destined for the cancer patients.
How long have you been dispensing medical marijuana from this club?
We've been open physically since June.
May, June.
May, June.
Chris, what's your reaction to being charged with trafficking and cultivation of marijuana?
Well, when I take a deep breath,
You weren't charged with cultivation of marijuana.
no, and that's important to make a note of, is that the article that was released by the Toronto Herald was incorrect. I not charged with cultivation.
3 counts of trafficking? That's
I've been charged with trafficking, possession for the purpose of trafficking. I've been charged with cultivation of resin for the purpose of trafficking. I've been charged with possession for the purpose of possession of resin for the purpose of trafficking. And I've been charged with possession of magic mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms for the purpose of trafficking.
And your reaction to those charges?
Well, I really take a deep breath and follow the lead of some of the really hard workers and activists that have gone before us who are out west in Ontario, where these incidences over the past 10 years have happened repeatedly over and over and over again. We can look at some compassion clubs in British Columbia that have faced arrests on concurrent days after reopening day after day after day. And what we see is that if staff have courage, if a club has courage, and when these things happen, the club doesn't disband and scatter and disperse, but rather stays together as a family and continues to support each other and grow, that there's really no way this sort of thing can be shut down. It can be slowed down, it can be stymied, it can have some hurdles put in front of it, but if we're a family sharing our medicine, if we're a family producing medicine for each other, then there's absolutely no way we can go back in time. We're out of the shadows.
We have a really lively debate about whether to have this press conference, whether or not, because we really, our focus is always just about protecting the patients. We won't go into detail about what someone sold or hasn't sold, because what happens between a club member and another club member and a patient is no one's business. But the reality is we've sat here quietly, and I don't think that we've caused any harm to the community. In fact, we're thinking about doing some cleanup in the car pool up there. It's horrible. And so, you know, they're forcing us, though, to come out. We don't have a big sign that says, get your cannabis here. We don't advertise, we don't ask patients to come to us. In fact, most of their patients are sent to us via a doctor, right? It was originally through word of mouth, and now we're finding that there's 3 physicians in Halifax that Dartmouth, that are sending patients to us constantly. There's members of the legal society that have sent us patients because they feel that they should have a license to have cannabis and help them fight their court case, because they didn't know it was available to them in the first place. And so, you know, there's many political groups out there that we've sort of depended on them to get the word out. But I think that the public has a right to know what happened here and be informed correctly, to get the truth about what actually happened.
Chris, police say they seized $50,000 in cash and 10 pounds of marijuana. They're alleging that you're a drug dealer.
Right.
How do you answer that?
Just to clarify, the vast majority of that cash was seized from the business downstairs. It's an incorporated business that's completely independent in terms of its operations from up here. While I am a 50% business owner with my business partner Tyler, who was also charged in the raid, we don't have any crossover finances between the two businesses. And while there's certainly a lot of people that would say, what the hell are you doing with $40,000 of cash on site at a business? What we would respond to that is that's really our day-to-day, the last couple weeks of our operations. And at the end of the day, on March 31st, we have a very significant income tax bill and a very significant CRA HST bill. And all of those funds were destined for that, and in court will be applying to have the courts release that, all of that money to the CRA. We're not looking for it back. It's not our money. It's destined for Tax Canada, and it's theirs, not the police's.
Hey!
It's a hydroponic indoor gardening supply store, so we sell nutrients, dirts, lights, everything you need to produce the plant itself, and other plants that can sense.
And this is affecting a large amount of people. I would say that as far as regular repeat customers, is 200 or 300. And as far as how many people we've served, there's over 1,000 people that we've helped with getting their license, finding physicians, and even showing court support. So the impact is ridiculous. And when you consider it's 10 pounds now, it was 5, and then it was 8. Now it's 10 pounds. We have no idea really how much exactly they took.
They seized all of our records, both.
They seized our records, and but they didn't bother. It's It's just ridiculous what they left behind, and there's no logic. They took a jar of the little sticks that come out in the middle of your bud, but then they left a jar of weed right beside it. It's just erratic, irrational behavior.
Just to be clear, was medical marijuana being sold here?
Where I'm facing potential charges, I think it's really important for
So, sorry, we arrived a little bit late, and I understand
Yeah.
that there's concern about how your clients will access equipment and
Well, their medicine is what it is, right? Like, we really focused on more than, we don't want to distribute cannabis to people. We want people to find a grower to grow for them. We want people to learn to grow for themselves. That's why these two businesses work so well together, because we could say to you, look, you really want to grow your own weed, or you want to find somebody to grow for you, and there's a shop downstairs that will teach you how. How can the government give us licenses to possess this medicine and then not give us anything feasible to get? The government cannabis is ridiculous. It's an insult to us as patients. And the minute anybody learns that, they'll never purchase it from Health Canada again. When they see the difference between what somebody can grow for them and what you get from the government, right? And now they're trying to take that away too. They're taking away our right to grow for ourselves. I have a really extremely high license. I spoke to a doctor about juicing cannabis. Juicing raw cannabis is illegal, which is ridiculous, right? And now they're taking away our right to grow, so I will never be allowed to juice my own cannabis. So this is a ridiculous situation. You give us a lot here. You can have cannabis. You just can't really access anything that's of any value.
So I understand the concern for your clients, but what is your concern regarding the criminal charges and the way that police are being handled?
Well, the criminal charges are certainly grand. For the other two individuals who were charged simply with possession for the purpose, they're now subject to the amendments that Stephen Harper made to the criminal code regarding controlled drugs and substances. When the charges are under 3 kilograms for the possession of purpose, while you're not subject to mandatory minimum sentences, the bill did extend the maximum sentence from 7 years to 14 years to life. And so unfortunately, both Tyler and Brianna will not have the ability to receive a conditional discharge, absolute discharge, or any sort of a discharge sentence from the judge. If the Crown decides to proceed on prosecuting in this situation, these individuals will have to be sentenced as found guilty by a judge outside of a discharge opportunity. Myself, with the additional cultivation of resin and possession of resin for the purpose of trafficking, each of those sentences face a minimum of 1 year mandatory sentencing should I be found guilty. And that's not including should they try to attach aggravating factors to it, such as were they trying to say that we are 2 or more operating for the benefit of 1 here. That would define organized crime and add an additional year to the sentence. If they were trying to say that this is an area frequented by children just by the very fact that, we require the road for passage, there's no sidewalks here, they could certainly try to add on an additional 1 year mandatory minimum sentence for both of that. So, I mean, potentially we're looking at 3 to 4 years of mandatory minimum sentences should the Crown decide to prosecute.
Was there illegal activity taking place here in terms of the criminal?
Let me answer that. I just want to tell you, if I have a license to possess cannabis and my friend Chris Backer has a license to possess cannabis, when I pass him the joint, we've broken the law. So the answer is yes. This is a vapor lounge you're standing in. This is what a vapor lounge looks like. You can see that there's bongs and ashtrays and rolling papers on every table. And every time we sat in a circle and smoked a joint together, we broke the law. Yes, we definitely broke the law here.
Can I ask a question just to
Who here
clarify?
has smoked a joint and broke the law?
Me.
Right, yeah, just everybody hold their hands up. Look at these people. Okay, all these people have broken the law.
I'd like to ask a question just to clarify.
This is Bobby Lee from LEAP in Nova Scotia.
Yay, all right. The cannabis that was here, was that meant for patients?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Some of it
police,
was
the
meant
police
for me.
knew that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
Okay, and they took it anyway.
yes. We had an attempted break-in here once, and you can see one of our windows is broken. We were having a festival and somebody came and smashed our window. The police officer who I spoke to out front said to me, oh, we know everything that's going on here. And I said, because he was surprised that this business and downstairs were two separate businesses. He had no idea. Then he proceeded to tell me he knew everything that was going on here. And I said, well, are you the police officer that arrested me for carrying a tomato plant down the road last year? Right? And you could see that he was shamed by that. You know, oh, it was dark and it was...
That was a pretty good video. I'd like to tell Chris and Cherie, the patients and all the staff at the Halifax Compassion Club that you have our prayers, you have our best wishes, and you have our support. And I encourage anybody else that can to support this group, as they're doing a lot. They're doing something that myself and many others wish that they had had the resources and the balls to get into right away. Somebody had to do it first, and whoever it was going to get spanked. And unfortunately for them, that's those guys, and fortunately for them, this is Nova Scotia, and we got good people here, and we're going to support, and we're going to stand behind them. So that being the case, I want to end this episode, the 18th episode of the Maritime Medical Marijuana Show, with a video that I was posted recently to YouTube called Kush in the Rillo, done by Jason Salas. He says, here's the 4th video off my album, 4/20/12, titled Kush in the Rillo. You got a blaze to this shit. Shout out to that boy, 3 Roche, for filming, editing, producing, not only my videos, but also my album, Mad Respect. So here's the video. Thanks for allowing me to put it on, and hope you guys enjoy.
Trying to stay safe, you know what I mean? I ain't trying to be one of them motherfucking statistics like a bunch of other motherfuckers I know, so here I go again, fucking up. Everyone be asking me, man, why the fuck you don't just stay home and shit? Stay home, you got 5 kids, stay home, man. But nah, man, I don't know what it is. I'm addicted to these streets, you know what I'm saying? That's all I can say. I like to be out there, man. I feel at home out in these streets. It's tough, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna tell you, man.
I've always got my weed prepared for me when I leave. I got my girl rolling trees. You best believe it's OG. Kush in the willow, no seeds. And watch your lips cause it bleeds. Resin all over your teeth. Foul kill, keep my mind so elevated. Food in the God's mushroom, stay concentrated on this weekend. Hoping everyone is educated, cause the laws nowadays are so outdated. Air bumpers keep the ice cube percolated. Cross joint lit, 3 ways to be medicated. I ain't gonna stop till the laws get legislated. Foul kill, hip hop, marijuana delegated. Everybody that's smoking weed, do you wanna come smoke with me? All we all gotta do is share, and we can put this smoke in the air. Oh, gee, got that OG, got that OG. Kush in the Rillo. Legalize what I love to promote. Weed smoke, Aztec, finally come to provoke. Inhaling smoke to my lungs, throwing it out to my throat. Body 1 times 2, sense of me afloat in the sky. Good vibes at times we talk along. How many Q's fit in a 5-foot arm? I'll be here all night, orchestrating the song. You got an idea, then come on and bring it on. Val Gill in the studio, smoking Cheech and Chong. Presenting cannabis and everything that comes along. Presenting cannabis and everything that comes along. Presenting cannabis and everything that comes along. I've always got my weed prepared for me when I leave. I got my girl rolling trees. You best believe it's OG. Kush in the Rillo, no seeds. And watch your lips cause it bleeds. Resin all over your teeth. Resin all over your teeth. I've always got my weed prepared for me when I leave. I got my girl rolling trees. You best believe it's OG. Kush in the Rillo, no seeds. And watch your lips cause it bleeds. Resin all over your teeth. Resin all over your teeth. Getting high is the way of life. Stay smoking on a day and night. I've searched for it high and low. All I really want is that troll. Getting high is the way of life. Stay smoking on a day and night. I've search for it high and low. All I really want is that drove. Found kids, stay smoking on that good list. Bomb loaded to the max like a full clip. Stone to the bone, avoiding all the bullshit. Standing tall like a preacher in a pulpit. Found kill 20 bakers dozen. Hip hop don't stop in the discussion. Joint burning so loud you can smell us coming. Found killing 3 broke trying to bounce and running. OG, got that. OG, I got that. OG, got that. Cushion the blow, got that. OG, got that. OG, I got that. OG, got that. Good cushion the blow. I've always got my weed prepared for me when I leave. I got my girl rolling trees. You best believe it's OG. Kush in the willow, no seeds. And watch your lips cause it bleeds. Resin all over your teeth. Resin all over your teeth.
All right, next show will be in 2 weeks. I'm looking to have another interview, which will be to be announced. There'll be another testimonial that I'd like to add to the show. And I want to thank the computer tuner for providing the equipment that I use to make the show possible. And one last shout out, of course, to Mark at freemark.ca. The Free Mark campaign wants the Canadian government to repatriate Mark Emery from the United States federal prison system so he can serve his sentence in his home country of Canada. Mark Emery is a political prisoner imprisoned for activism and funding the marijuana movement through marijuana seed sales. I'm hoping that if my transfer is accepted, say by June 10th in Washington and July 20th in Ottawa, I'll be back in Canadian prison system in September and free at home by next January. Otherwise, I'm in the U.S. prison system until July of next year. Mark is at the Yazoo City Correctional Institution in Mississippi. Please send him letters, news updates, and photos. He needs our support to get through the next few years. Again, it's Mark Emery, and I'll post his address for you to mail to, and I hope that you guys do. Peace, love, and hippie shit. You guys take care, and I'm going to watch that video again, so I need to spark up. You guys take care. See you in 2 weeks.